Hello, welcome back to my kitchen, or hello for the first time. How are you doing? Hope you're alright. Today I am making a video I didn't think I was going to make. No makeup or anything, not prepared at all, but this is what we're doing. So, today we're going to talk about the difference between American biscuits and British scones. Now the reason we're going to do that is because I was on Twitter, where I often am, and a YouTuber called Raw Beauty Christie, who's massive YouTuber. She's huge, she's so popular. So this is not like a shout out to her channel or anything. She's like a beauty YouTuber, so a lot of makeup and stuff, very glamorous. Anyway, she tweeted out saying something like, "Hey British people, what do you call these?" And they're not scones. So basically all answers other than scones. And I replied saying, "I know you don't want the answer to be scones, but they're kind of scones." And then I just got tons of hate for it. I just got tons and tons and tons of comments below it being like, they're not scones, and then has people being like, they are scones, and people fighting about it and stuff. So we're going to settle this now. It's not a big deal, but they are kind of scones. And I'm going to show you how they're kind of scones. So I have went online and I found it's a random American biscuit recipe, and I'm going to make that. Then I'm going to make a savoury scone or a sweet scone, and I'm going to show you the difference. And I'm also going to talk to you about the other kind of scones that we have in Britain, because we actually do have a savoury scone that is designed for in stews and stuff. They're not dumplings, not to be confused with dumplings. British dumplings are very different from like Japanese dumplings and stuff. Dumplings are usually just dough that's stuck on top of a stew, the lid went on, and then it cooks and they're very doughy. But these are actual scones that would be made and then put on top of stews. So we do have that, which is very, very similar, again, to American biscuits. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, so what we'll do is we'll make sure the dogs are okay because they're making a hell of a lot of noise, and then we'll get on to making the American biscuits. Seeing how they're both made will show how similar they are, and although there is differences between them that make them a biscuit or a scone, I think you'll see that the method and they're all pretty much the same thing. And the reason I think they're scones is because there's so many variations of actual scones that this is just a variation of a scone. You know? I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you think I'm mental, but we'll see, right? Bear with me, we'll see. So, what we need to do is measure out our ingredients. So this recipe on my phone, because I'm professional, says 225 grams of plain flour, and because we're following someone else's recipe, we will do what we are told and we will sift. Also, for these you need to preheat your oven to 220 degrees, or 200 degrees if you've got a fan oven, which I do. I don't know what the Fahrenheit is for that, or the gas, but I'll put it in the description box below. Next we're going to add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Next it says half a teaspoon of salt. Please be my guest to measure that, but that's not happening in this household. So we have all of our dry, just give that a wee shimmy booty. Next you're going to add your butter. Has to be cold butter and has to be cubed. Doesn't have to be cubed, do what you want. This has to be small chunks so you can mix it, you know. I have unsalted butter here, and I'm telling you lies, I've got salted butter because my recipe says use salted butter. So we need 100 grams of that. We're going to try and crumble our cubes in there as best we can with clean hands. And then we're just going to mix the butter and the flour and stuff together and create breadcrumbs by taking the flour and cubes of butter and mushing them together between your finger and your thumb, just like that. Now, some lovely people months ago, if not years ago, sent Marcus a gift for me, and it's like a rocking thing. I'll show you in a second. I've never used it and I really should use it, and you can use those for this thing. Someone gifted me this and it was a great gift and I really should use it, but I don't. But you could use that and basically use a handle and you just smoosh the stuff together if you don't want to use your hands. It's a very nice gift. People are too kind. If If you think you've got all the butter mixed through and you think it's all good and well, what to do is shake it like this. And then all the big bits of butter will rise to the top, and then you can see what you've got left to squish. Okay, so I'm happy with that. It's like a breadcrumb now, so I'm happy. Okay, so we have buttermilk and it asks for 250 millilitres. This has 300 millilitres in it, so. Now you're looking for it to come together as just a dough, apparently. So I'm going to use a metal spoon just now and just try and gather that stuff in. See, to me that's quite doughy already, and I've only used 200 millilitres of buttermilk, so I'm just going to stick with that. I don't think I want to use 250 because if I do, it'll be one just big wet mess. We have to flour our surface like you were making pastry, and then we'll plonk that on the surface, and then we will do our best to knead this into some sort of dough. It does say don't knead it too much because then you'll have tough biscuits, and nobody wants tough biscuits. So it says to roll this out into a rectangle, fold over until you get 9 layers. Basically, you're looking to have 9 layers in total. So we'll do that. So here is my sort of rectangle. Don't know if you can see that. And then we're going to fold it in and fold it in the way you would laminate pastry. And then we'll fold it again. Well, roll it again. Just making sure that I'm keeping my rolling pin as floured as possible because it's very wet mixture, as I say. So I'm going to fold it this way now, again, the same I would do pastry. There's probably Americans watching this being like, what are you doing? Cool, and then I fold it this way now. Now that I've got my layers, well, I think I've got my layers, you're supposed to roll it to 2 centimetres using a cutter, cut out your scones. Sorry, your biscuits. I think this might be too big. I've never seen a biscuit in real life, so I don't know how big they are, but we'll just use this one for now. I'm just reusing the dough I've got because waste not, want not. Just smoosh it together, roll it back out again. That's what I've got so far. This recipe asks you to use the remaining buttermilk to grease the top of your biscuits. This recipe that I'm using will be linked below, by the way, if you want to follow that. Okay, so these now go in the oven for 12 minutes. So while they're in the oven, we're going to do scones. As far as I'm aware, there's like 4 or 5 different types of scones. You have a casserole scone, which is the one I was telling you about. The scone sits on top of a stew. You take the thing, eat it with the stew, right? There's a rich scone, which can either be a scone with sugar and raisins and currants and sultanas and stuff, or just sugar. Both of them are rich scones, so they count as 2, so that's 3. We have a cheese scone, which is a savoury scone with cheese through it and cheese on top of it. And then we have a plain scone, which is just a plain scone. There may be more variants of scones than that. Obviously, those are the traditional scones, or scones, but I think that you can put pretty much anything in them. I think Americans put chocolate chips in them. That's not something that I fuck with, but if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. What we're going to do just now is we're going to make a plain scone, and then we're going to try and make a rich scone. So for your plain scones, you can use self-rising flour, or you use plain flour and your good pal baking powder like we did before. It's 6 1/2 a dozen really. So you need 225 grams of self-rising flour. I don't know what it is with this self-rising flour, it's just so smoky. It's very fine, but very annoying. So we'll sieve that. See look how smoky that is? There's no need. Like the biscuits, we need to use salt, so pinch of salt, and then butter. So we need 50 grams of butter. Again, you cube this. Much like before, you're going to rub them together. And you're going to rub them till you get the exact same consistency as you got before. So basically like a breadcrumb consistency. And that's pretty much it. That is a plain scone. That is the plainest, most basic scone you can get. Okay, so we now have a breadcrumb consistency. with these, the exact same as we had before. The only difference with these is rather than adding buttermilk, what we're going to do is we're going to add just cow's milk, or any milk you fancy. Now you're only going to add it enough to make a dough. Splash some milk in, and then give it a wee mix about. Once you've mixed it with your spoon, get your hand in it to make sure you can or cannot make it into a dough. So I'm not quite there yet. A wee dash more. I can get my hand in there now and try and knead it enough to get a dough. We have our dough, and just like last time, we're going to flour our surface, put that down, turn the alarm off and go get the biscuits. Cool, so our biscuits are out of the oven just now, they're just chilling over there while we finish what we're doing. So just like before, you've got your dough in front of you, you've got your flour and stuff. We're going to roll this out and we're going to cut scones out, right? The only difference with this is you don't need to create those layers, but you're basically rolling it to the exact same thickness. So 2 centimetres, roughly. And again, you don't want to overwork this dough, just like before, because then you'll get tough scones and crap. Now if I'm saying scones and you say scones and I'm doing your head in, I'm really sorry. With these, rather than brushing the top with buttermilk, which went inside it, we're brushing the top with just milk. Now these go into a 220 degrees oven, or 200 if you've got a fan oven, so the exact same temperature. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see the point I'm making? So there is my scones, and they're going to go in the oven now for 10 minutes. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm now going to make rich scones, and I'm not going to bother tidying this because I'm just about to do the exact same thing. So for rich scones, you're going to take your self-rising flour and another 225 grams of that. Again, another pinch of salt. And we're going to sift that, and yes, I am using the same bowl, right? I am. Take it up with my manager. What is the deal with this flour? Go away. Go to my lungs, I'm sharing my lungs with somebody else. Go away. Again, we will need 50 grams of butter. And we're going to cube that and put that straight in there as well. So with rich scones, the only exception is we add an egg, we add sugar, and we add fruit if you do so desire. So it's 25 grams of caster sugar. We're going to rub the butter, sugar, salt and flour together to make crumbs, like before. Once you've got breadcrumbs, you will add your 50 grams of currants or raisins, and then in a jug you're going to add 1 egg, and really it's the egg as well that makes it richer, just a nicer taste. So you're going to add 1 egg, and then you're going to add milk. And you're going to add the milk until you have 150 millilitres of liquid, including that egg. Does that make sense? That's why you need to put the egg in the jug. All you're going to do now is add your eggy milky liquid, shove that in there, and then give it a nice wee stir. Again, until you've got a dough, and then you roll that dough out, you cut it up and you put it in the oven. As always, we're just going to flour our surface. It's already floured because we've already done this, and then just pour it out, and then make a dough. This is a little bit wetter because it's got egg and stuff in it, but that's absolutely fine. Hi.
Bonjour. Evening.
I'm making a video based on the difference between American biscuits and British scones.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, they look nice.
That's the American scones, American biscuits, sorry. Because I was having...
Biscuits! Now one.
You can have one in a minute when I tell you to come in and try them all.
Oh. Goodbye.
Goodbye! So, I've made a mess, and I've also made 2 different kinds of scones and 1 biscuit. So, these are just the exact same. These go into your oven, 220 degrees or 200 degrees if you've got a fan oven. They'll go in there for 10 minutes and they'll come out, and then you're good to go. So I'll put these in just now, and then we'll come back and we'll try them. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. Yeah, these as well. Just brush the top of these with milk as well. You could have really kept some of your mixture back, your eggy, milky mixture back, and like brushed it with that if you wanted to. These rich scones will come out a better colour than your plain scones. There's nothing really in your plain scones to make them a nice colour, so they're going to come out a different colour. Plain scones come out very peely wally. So I'll see you in like 15 minutes. On this plate here we have, I made you your own rich scone. See over there in the scones closest to the cupboard, there's one that's got no raisins in it, that one's yours.
That's one?
Yes. I made literally one scone for you, and this will be the best of the stuff it was in. So we have one rich scone which has fruit and sugar and egg in it. We have American biscuits which have butter and milk in them, and we have a plain scone which has just milk and not buttermilk. The whole point in this video,
why is one brown?
because one is covered in buttermilk,
Right.
and the buttermilk burns. So this has just got milk on top of it. If I'd put egg on top of it, it'd be that, or if I'd put buttermilk on it, it'd look the exact same.
Okay.
So you've got your own knife, because plain scones are supposed to be eaten with jam, but you won't have jam, so do you want me just to put butter on yours? You can try the plain scone for me first.
Is this, where's the plain scone?
This one in my hand.
Okay.
So it's just plain, there's no sweet in it.
Right.
So you try that one for me.
Is this my plain scone?
No, that's...
You're confusing me.
The only plain scone there is in my hand, and I'm going to butter it for you, didn't you?
You've no patience for me.
Far too pregnant. Right.
Well, whose fault's that?
Yours? Try that. That's your plain scone. So there's no sugar in that. That is just a normal, run-of-the-mill plain scone.
That is a plain scone.
Tastes alright. Right. So this is the American biscuit. You want butter in this? I've never tried an American biscuit before.
Well, I thought they were the same thing.
Well, I don't think they're the same thing. What I think is that American biscuits are a variation of a British scone. You try that, huh? Telling you, these American biscuits better be nice. I think they're going to taste like soda scones.
They're a different consistency slightly, but apart from that, it kind of tastes the same.
That's just the same as the plain scone, isn't it?
Just the consistency's a bit different.
They're like breadier, but only slightly. It's not even like it's a big deal. It's not even like you can even notice it. One is like tougher almost. It's almost like the buttermilk, whatever's made it almost like a bready feeling. But aye. They taste identical.
Yeah.
So these are a rich scone.
No.
Aye, they're just in the oven, so they're pretty crumbly. Rich scones are what we eat all the time, if we eat a scone.
Oh my god.
What are you trying to do?
Get more butter. You know what, that'll do. Just do a sandwich.
That's the business. That's just like a wee sweet scone. Aye. So they're great. In your opinion, what do you think the difference is between a British scone and an American biscuit?
Just the consistency's a little bit different, but they taste the same.
Literally just texture it. And it's honestly like an American biscuit just has a consistency almost like bread, but not as airy. And a scone's just a little bit more dense. That's it. I would say the biscuit's maybe lighter, but that's just the baking soda. See, if I put baking soda in my plain scones, it'd be the same. I feel like people always ask, what are these? And people always say scones, and I wanted to just get it dealt with.
You made a whole video to win an argument.
No, really.
Yeah, you did.
It's not really an argument, it's more I wanted to show the workings. So see when you go to your teacher and you go, there's my homework, and they go, where's the workings? Like I wanted to show how I believe they're the same thing, because you make them the same. It's literally the flour and then the butter, and you make it into a crumb, you roll it, you cut it, you put it in the oven.
Alright.
They're even all baked at the exact same temperature. So they're literally made the same, baked the same, but with one or two ingredients that differ. And that's why I think they're similar to scones, because there's so many different variations of scones. Because we've just had two different kinds of scones there, but you also get a stew scone and you get a cheese scone. So all this really is a buttermilk scone. Agreed?
Aye.
Agreed. Well, thank you for trying them.
No what?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Right, so there's nothing really else for me to say because I've said it all a million times. You know how I feel about it now, and please tell me your opinion in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think they're the same or do you think they're different? The thing about baking is everything is just a variation of something. Fair enough, you've got like cupcakes, but cupcakes are a variation of a muffin. You know, like everything's just a variation of something. But there's always so many things you can do with flour, butter, sugar and milk, you know, like eggs. Like, they're all a variation of something. So I'm not trying to offend anyone by saying American biscuits are scones. I'm just saying to people in Britain, they are scones. Whether you think they are or not, they're just a variation of a scone. Anyway, if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot to me. I also have merch. Right now I have Christmas merch, it's limited edition. So come chat to me on Twitter. I also have a Discord. I've got hundreds of things. If you're interested, the links are below in the description. Below the ingredients and recipes that I'll put below. If you want, I'll even put a recipe for cheese scone and a recipe for stew scones. I'll put them in the description box below as well if you fancy having a wee go at them. But for now, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching me try and prove a point, and I'll see you later. Bye.